How to Not Die Alone. The Surprising Science That Will Help You Find Love by Logan Uri. Chapter 1. Why dating is harder now than ever before. How to understand the challenges of modern dating. Each generation faces its own set of challenges like wars, recessions, soldier spats. The same holds true for dating. While people of every era have bemoaned their love lives, today singles might just be right. Dating is harder now than ever before. And the next time your mom pesters you about finding someone nice to settle down with, you can tell her, I said that. In this book, I will offer solutions to some of life's most difficult dating decisions. But before I get to the tactical advice, I want to set the stage and explain the factors conspiring against modern daters. If looking for love has left you feeling incredibly stressed out, here is why. We shape our own identities. Religion, community, and social class dictated the lives of our ancestors. Expectations were clear, and personal decisions were few, based on where and into what kind of family you were born. You knew, for example, that you would work as a textile merchant, live in Bucharest, eat kosher food, and go to synagogue. Or you would work as a farmer, live on the outskirts of Shanghai, and eat livestock and crops from your land. When it came to finding a partner, the answer often came down to dowry: who could offer the best acres of land or the largest caravan of camels. Today, all these decisions are up to us. Modern life is a path that we must chart on our own. Whereas our predecessors didn't have to wait where to live or what to do for a living, we make those choices now. That gives us incredible more freedom to shape our identities, to pick Nashville over Atlanta, to choose whether to work as a meteorologist or a mathematician. But that freedom comes at the cost of certainty. Late at night, our faces lit by the blue glow of our smartphones, we wonder, who am I? And what I'm doing with my life? The dark side of all of this freedom and endless choices, the crippling fear that we will screw up our lifelong pursuit of happiness. If we are in charge, then we have only ourselves to blame. We could fail, and then it would be our fault. And one of the biggest questions left up to us, a decision that used to be made by our parents and our community, is who should I pick as a romantic partner? We have too many options. We are experiencing a seismic shift in dating culture. Dating itself only began in the 1890s. Online dating started in 1994 with Kiss.com, followed shortly by Match.com a year later, and we have been sweeping for less than a decade. If it feels like we are in the middle of a gigantic cultural experiment, it's because we are. We are no longer limited to the single people we know from work or church or our neighborhood, and now we can swipe through hundreds of potential partners in a single sitting. But there is a downside to these seemingly infinite options. Psychologists, including Barry Swart, professor emeritus at Swarthmore, have shown that while people crave choice, too many options can make us feel less happy and more doubtful of our decision. They call this the paradox of choice. People are struggling, like the obnoxious person in front of you in the front line who cannot pick a flavor. Can I try them all one more time? We are crippled by analysis paralysis, and this is especially true when it comes to choosing a life partner. We yearn for certainty. What's the last book you researched online? Which electric toothbrush to buy? Which wireless Bluetooth speakers to get your brother for his new apartment? We live in a more information and rich society, and that offers the false comfort of research. It can feel like the perfect decision is only a few more Google research away, and whether we are selecting the most authentic taco place or the best performing vacuum cleaner. We cannot consult endless ranking and reviews. It feels like if we research all our choices, then we can select the right one. We have gotten hooked into on this finding of certainty and we craft it in our romantic life. But when it comes to relationship, that kind of assurance does not exist. There is no right answer to questions like who should I be with and how much should I compromise and will they ever change? No amount of Googling will reveal. If James or Jillian will make a good spouse, we cannot make we cannot achieve complete certainty before any big relationship decision. And luckily we don't have to in order to be happy. Good relationships are built and not discovered, but our minds are often stuck in a trap, thinking that by combing through hundreds of options, we will be closer to knowing whether the one in front of us is right. Social media leads us to compare and despair. Years ago, people lived in communal villages, and they witnessed other couples being affectionate, fighting, and making up, and there was no such thing as a private problem. And today, our primary view into other people's relationship is stuck, curated, Instagram filtered social media feeds, excited mid-high engagement announcements. Vacation pictures with an snoozing baby strap on someone's chest, and this leads us to feel like we are the only ones experiencing heart-wrenching struggle in our love life. Feeling like everyone else's relationship is perfect when yours is floundering exacerbates that pain. I find this especially true for men. We tend to have smaller social network and fewer people with whom they can share their fears, and they are even less likely to talk to their friends about their problems and learn that everyone, at one time or another, experiences relationship hardships. We lack relationship role models. We want to find the best possible partner, build the best possible relationship, and yet many of us have witnessed few functional relationships firsthand, especially when we were young. Divorce rates peaked in the 1970s and early 1980s, and while they have gone down since then, many of us are what couples therapists Esther Perel calls the children of the divorce and disillusion, and around 50% of marriages in the United States in any divorce or separation, and about 4% of married people report feeling miserable in their relationships. Put it all together, and a majority of married people have either chosen to end their relationship or are enduring it unhappily. This is a problem. Study after study demonstrate the power of role models. It's much easier to believe something is possible when you have seen someone else do it, whether that's running for a minute mile or eating 73 hot dogs in under 10 minutes. For example, women are much more likely to become inventor if they grew up in a zip code with many female patent holders. In fact, they are more likely to patent in the same categories as older female inventors in their neighborhood, and the same is true with the relationship. We all want to build lasting and fulfilling partnership, but it's harder to do that when you lack relationship role models. And many of my clients confess fears around not knowing what the day-to-day look like in a strong relationship. And how do healthy couples resolve conflict? How do happy spouses make decisions together? And how do you successfully spend the rest of your life with one person? Because they didn't observe those behaviors in their own parents. Even those of us with the best relationship intention might struggle because many of us haven't seen a functional relationship in action. There are far more ways to be in a relationship. Many of the relationship questions we tackle today never would have crossed the minds of our camel herding ancestors, such as are we dating or just hooking up? Or should I break up now or wait until after waiting season is over? We agonize with our close confidence over not knowing whether we are in love and with a new boo or feeling burned out from first dates that go nowhere. And now, thanks to advanced and reliable birth control and fertility science, people can ask themselves about new traits of, such as do I want a kid? If so, when? It's unlikely that hunter-gatherers lost a lot of sleep over that one. Beyond scientific advances, we are expanding our models for dating and long-term relationships. We are pondering questions such as Are we monogamous, or how do we define monogamy? And some days, these questions are exciting. Who does not want to feel free and in a control of their destiny? But at a certain point, all these options and opportunities can stop making us feel free and start making us feel overwhelmed. We feel pressure to get the decision right, to stop it all up. We are bombarded with messages imploring us to get this decision right, and everyone from public figure like a Facebook CEO or Sheryl Sandberg who said, I truly believe that the single most important career decision that a woman makes is whether she will have a life partner and who that partner is. To our own parents, don't make the same mistake I did. Reinforces how critical it is that we don't mess this one up. It can feel like our entire life hinges on the one major decision of whom to marry, and this is especially true for women who face more time pressure to pick a spouse if they want to have a children by a certain age. But there is a hope. We can take control of our lives by better understanding ourselves. What motivates us, what confuses us, what gets in our way, and that's where behavioral science and this book comes in. Key takeaways. Number one, dating is harder now than ever before, and you can tell your mom, I said that. Number two, here is why. We define our own identities, unlike our ancestors whose lives were defined by their communities. We have thousands of options at our fingertips, which causes us to question our decision. We are uncomfortable making big decisions when we cannot research our way to the right answer. And social media leads us to believe that everyone else is in healthier, happier relationships than we are. And far too few of us have good relationship role models. There are far more models for dating in a long-term relationship. We are bombarded with messaging that we need to get this decision right, and that a right answer exists at all. Number three, but there is a hope. Using insights from behavioral science, we can take control of our love lives. Chapter 2, the 3 dating tendencies. How to discover your dating blind spots. Have you ever looked around and wondered, why has everyone found love except me? I like my job, I like my friend, I like myself. Why hasn't this one piece of my life fallen into place yet? I have heard version of this from nearly all my clients, and I have discovered many of them suffer from dating blind spots, pattern of behavior that hold them back from finding love, but which they cannot identify on their own. I have categorized the most common blind spot into a framework called the 3 dating tendencies, and each group struggles with unrealistic expectation of themselves, of partner, in a romantic relationship. The following quiz will reveal your dating tendency. It will help identify what's holding you back so you can break your bad habits and develop new ones. Your tendency impact your behavior at every stage of the relationship, so it's crucial to learn yourself the first step along your journey to finding love. The 3 dating tendencies quiz. Instruction. Read each statement and decide how much it describes you. Circle a number that corresponds to your answer. Number 1, in very unlike me. Number 2, somewhat like me. Number 3, that's so me. Question 1. I don't want to go on a second date with someone if I don't feel the spark when we meet. Question 2. When I'm on a date, I might ask myself, is this person up to my standards? Question 3. I will be ready to date when I improve myself, for example, lose weight or feel more financially stable. Question 4. I would prefer if my partner and I had a romantic how we met story. Questions 5. I usually read new reviews before I make a significant purchase. Question 6. I don't have time to date right now. Question 7. I believe there is someone out there who is perfect for me and I just haven't met them yet. Questions 8. When making a decision, I tend to go back and forth, weighing all the possible options. Questions 9. My friends tell me I need to put myself out there more. Questions 10. I find the apps unromantic because I want to meet my person in a more natural way. Question 11. I pride myself on never settling. Question 12. I rarely go on a date. Question 13. I don't believe the spark can grow over time. Either you feel it in the beginning or you don't. Question 14, I will know. I have met the right person because I will feel completely sure about them. Question 15, if I want to attract the best possible person, first I need to become the best possible person. Question 16, love is a gut feeling. You know it when you feel it. And question number 17, my friends think I am too picky. Question 18, I'm focusing on my career now and I will think about dating later. Scoring key. The romantizer, add up your score for every third question, starting with question number 1. Sum of answers to question 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16. Scoring key, the maximizer, add up your score for every third question, starting with the question 2, sum of answer to questions 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17. The hesitator, add up your scores every third question, starting with question 3, sum of answers to question 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. On which one did you score the highest? And that's your dating tendency. The romantizer. You want a soulmate, the happily ever after, the whole fairy tale, and you love, and you believe you are single because you haven't met the right person yet. Your motto is, it will happen when it's meant to be. Habit. And the maximizer. You love doing research, exploring all of your options, turning over every stone until you are confident you have found the right one. You make decisions carefully and you want to be 100% certain about something before you make your choice. Your motto, why settle? Hesitator. You don't think you are ready for dating because you're not the person you want to be yet, and you hold yourself at a high standard. You want to feel completely ready before you start a new project. The same goes for dating. And your motto, I will wait until I am a catch. Although they seem quite different, the romantizer, maximizer, and hesitator have one major thing in common: unrealistic expectation. The romanticizer has unrealistic expectations of relationship. The maximizer has unrealistic expectation of their partner. Hesitator has unrealistic expectation of themselves. If you scored highly on more than one tendency, reread the description and select the one that best describes you. If you are still struggling, send a picture of this trick option to a trusted friend in validating this quiz. I discovered that friends were able to identify the dating tendency at the play even more accurately than the person taking the quiz. Remember, these are blind spots. Friends can often recognize patterns in our behavior that we don't see. My tendency is circle 1. The romantizer, maximizer, or hesitator, and just answer your questions. In the next few chapters, I will share more about each of the 3 tendencies, including the struggle they encounter and how to overcome them. I recommend reading all 3 chapters because they contain helpful lessons for everyone and they will help you understand daters you encounter who have a different tendency from your own. Key takeaways. Number 1, many people suffer from dating blind spot, pattern of behavior to hold them back from finding love, but which they cannot identify on their own. Number 2, I have categorized the most common blind spots into a framework called the 3 dating tendency. Each group struggles with unrealistic expectation. The romantizer has unrealistic expectation of a relationship. They want a soulmate, the happily ever after, and the whole fairy tale. The maximizer has unrealistic expectation of their partner. They love to explore their options and want to feel absolutely confident they are making the right decision. And the hesitator has unrealistic expectation of themselves. They feel like they are not ready to date. Number 3, understanding your dating tendency helps you discover what's holding you back and how you can overcome these blind spots. Chapter 3, Disney Light to Eyes. How to overcome the romantizer tendency. 20 minutes into our first session and the tears were already flowing. I know he is out there, Maya said. He just has not phoned me yet. He, her soulmate. The peanut butter to her jelly to one. Maya couldn't stop talking about this man who would make all of her dreams come true. She believed the perfect guy was waiting for her just around the corner. I want to meet him organically. She explained when I asked about her current approach to dating and the apps felt too unromantic to me. Why mess with her fate? Maya has long black hair that she spends an hour blow drying every morning before work. When she tells a story, every detail seems slightly more dramatic because she lifts her dark eyebrows in surprising grins to show her sparkling teeth. She is the child of Iranian immigrant, and her parents are in his year 35 of what she described as a very happy marriage, and she wants that what they have. She is had a few boyfriends on a college, two since, but nothing stuck. She is always breaking up with these guys. When it's right, I will know. She says, arching an eyebrow. She grew up watching rewatching Disney movie like a Little Mermaid on VHS and is waiting for her happily ever after. Maya is a quiet, essential romanticizer. Romanticizers believe that love is something that happens to you, and that the reason they are single is have they just haven't met the right person yet. Romanticizers might not consistently identify with the fairy tales, and yet they expect their life to resemble what they believe the perfect person will walk into their life one day, and all they have to do is wait for that moment and watch that Prince Charming's or Cinderella appears. Love will be effortless. Of course, Q and Celine Dion soundtrack. The problem with the fairy tales. Who cares if you are a hopeless romantic? I do, and you should too. In behavioral science, we know mindset matters. Our attitude and expectation create a context for our experience, which in turn affect how we interpret information and make decisions. When it comes to romantic relationships, psychologist Renee Franiuk found that people have either a soulmate mindset. They believe that relationship satisfaction comes from finding the right person, or a work it out mindset. The belief that relationship success derives from putting in effort. Unsurprisingly, romanticizers fall into the soulmate mindset category, and this impacts how they act at every stage of the relationship. First, it affects the way they approach finding a partner. When I asked Maya why she thought she was single, she said, "It just has not happened to me yet." In Maya's mind, love is something that happens to you, like lightning striking, so I try. Romantizer, wait for love and won't put effort in to create love. Yeah, second, this mindset influences whom you are willing to go out with, and people with soulmate believe then they have a very specific vision of how their partner will look when we met. Maya rattled off a list of her future husband physical traits like hair, like fit, muscular but not too muscular, tasteful tattoos, medium length hair, pretty face but slightly rough, bad boy looking, tall, 5'10" and up, equal hands, not short nails. Since traumatizers are confident they know what their future partner will look like, when they meet someone who does not match that image, they won't give that person a chance. They end up missing out on the great potential matches, and when they start dating someone they believe is the one, their sky-high expectation can propel the relationship forward. But when the couple hits an inevitable obstacle, say for instance, a particular heated fight, they give up on the relationship rather than trying to overcome it. Maya's romantizer tendency helps explain why she struggled in her previous partnership. In all my relationships, I end up thinking, wait a minute, why is this so hard? Love is supposed to be effortless, right? This cannot possibly be the one. In comparison, those with the work it out mindset believe that relationships take effort and that love is an action you take and not something that happens to you. People with the work it out mindset tends to fare better in relationship because when they stumble they put in the work needed to get in the relationship back on the track rather than to give thing up. If you are a romanticizer who wants to find a lasting relationship, it's time to move on from the fairy tales and start a new chapter with a work it out mindset. Our fairy tale expectations. Romanticizers are not the only ones who think marriage holds the promise of a great love story filled with explosion and passion. Many of us feel that way, but it was not always like this. In fact, for most of history, the idea of marrying for love who would have seemed silly. Marriage was about economic and convenience. You married someone because their father's land was adjacent to your father's land, or because you were poor and someone over your family a dozen cows in exchange for your hand in marriage. As marriage historian Stephanie Cons explained, until the late 18th century, most societies around the world saw marriage as a far too vital and economic and political institution to be left entirely to the free choice of the two individuals involved, especially if they were going to base their decision on something as unreasoning and transitory as love. We know from ancient poetry that humans have always experienced love. In the 4,000-year-old Sumerian The Love Song for Shushin contained the words Always Love poem. The author declares, Lion, let me curse you. My precious curse is more savory than honey. And I know what you are thinking, but no, that is not a Beyonce lyric. But for most of human history, love is simply not part of the marriage equation. Love is something you might experience outside of the marriage. Perhaps you would have a love affair with a neighbor or develop a major crush on a local blacksmith. Alain de Botton studied how our views on love have changed over time. He is a philosopher who runs the School of Life, a crash course in how to design a meaningful existence. He has also written two profound novels on a relationship, on love and the course of love. When I spoke with him, he explained how our ancestors used to view love. It was seen as a very exciting moment, akin to a kind of illness, a kind of ecstatic moment. Love that outside of ordinary experience, almost like a religious visitation. It might have occurred to someone only once in their life. It was not generally seen to be something that you should act upon in any practical way. You let it wash over you. You let it guide an intense summer in your youth, but you certainly didn't marry according to it. It was not until around 1750 that the idea of marrying for love took hold. It all dates back to the age of Romanticism, an ideological movement that began in Europe, with philosophers waxing poetic about love and eventually took over the world. Romanticism elevated love from a kind of illness to the new model for what we have come to expect from long-term relationships. The Industrial Revolution propelled this model's adoption by mainstream society, with a greater mechanization and more widespread wealth. Marriages could finally focus more on personal fulfillment than on meeting basic needs. Several centuries later, romanticism still rules over ideas about love, and take a look at this list of romantic ideals. How many of these do you relate to? Love is a gut feeling, you know it when you feel it. When we meet our soulmate, we will feel an immediate attraction to them. We will be attracted only to them and vice versa. Our soulmate will intuitively understand us and know what we need before we do. We will remain passionately in love with our partner throughout our marriage. Our soulmate is the only person we will really need, and they can fill every role in our life, from best friend to travel partner to passionate lover. Good sex marks a good marriage. Bad or infrequent sex, or worse, infidelity, means the relationship is doomed. It's not sexy to talk about money. Love is not meant to be practical. The more this idea resonated with you, the more you have been brainwashed by the principle of romanticism. And if all of them did, I would love to pour your glass slipper pumpkin carriages. When people expect romantic relationship to unfold this way, they develop soulmate belief, just like Maya did. They waste years waiting for the one, rejecting anyone who does not meet their unrealistic expectation of love. How to fight back against the ideals of romanticisms? Movies and TV shows have long perpetuated the zero-B ideals of romanticisms. Read Life is Not a Notebook. Not only are these messages about love and long-term relationship incorrect, they are also harmful. Plus, kissing in the rain is so much colder and more uncomfortable than it seems. Here are the main culprits. Romanticizer, intensifier. Number 1. Disney's Prince Charming. Soulmate belief Disney perpetuates. The one is out there and he or she looks just like you imagine. Disney tells us that one day we will get swept off our feet by our own prince or princess charming. And this tendency plagues more than just right women. I have met romanticizers of all different genders and sexual orientations, and they are all out there waiting for this perfect person. And here's the architect who also mentors. She is a model with a PhD, and this person has every positive quality they want and none of the bad ones. In animated Disney movies, people fall in love without even knowing each other. In The Little Mermaid, all Prince Eric knew about Ariel was that she was an attractive redhead with the upper body strength to pull him safely to shore when his boat capsized. And he loved her for that. In Cinderella, the heroine falls for the prince because he can dance and makes an effort to return lost items to their rightful owner. Seems a little shallow, if you ask me. Work it out mindset safe. Even Prince Charming has morning breath. No one is perfect, including you, and don't know what I'm talking about? Think about the last time you really let someone down. It's time to give up on this idea of perfection. Like Amaya, you may have in your mind a vision of your future wife or husband. Perhaps this is informed by an early crush on the boy across the street or your favorite movie star. It's time to realize that the package in this person comes in might be different from what you were expecting. Maybe this person is shorter or taller or rounder or slimmer or darker or lighter or hairier or smoother than you expected. That very narrow view of this person's look holds you back from seeing the possibilities in front of you. If you're not perfect, why should this person be? Stop the double standard, you're not a movie star. And if you are, cool, thanks for reading this book. Romanticizer Intensifier number 2, Disney's Happily Ever After. Soulmate believes Disney perpetuates. The hard work of love is finding someone. Everything after that is easy. Disney movies depict everything a couple goes through leading up to the marriage, the courtship, the conflict, the evil witch standing in their way. But once they vanquish their foes and can finally be together, the couple's challenge and after that, I believe, are after, right? Wrong. I call this the happily ever after fallacy, the false notion that the hard part of love is finding someone. Work it out mindset safe. No relationship is easy all the time. Even the healthiest, most rewarding marriages require effort. Finding someone can be hard, but often the real challenge comes later. The hard part is the daily work you put in to grow and sustain a great relationship. The hard part is the feeling excited to see your spouse at the end of the day, after 30 years and 2 kids, long after the honeymoon period is over. The hard part is remembering why you love someone during all the logistical, financial, emotional, and spiritual challenges life throws at you. Romanticizer Intensifier 3, the rom-coms meet cute. Soulmate belief rom-coms perpetuate. Don't worry, love will find you and it will probably happen in a really great meet cute way you will want to tell your friends about. Rom-coms are Disney fairy tales are for people old enough to buy their own movie tickets and who find bubbling Englishmen attractive. We all know rom-coms are not real life, and yet they have still surreptitiously bored their way into our collective subconscious, especially when it comes to the meet cute. And rom-com, the meet cute is the hero and the heroine's first encounter, and it often happens as the two characters are just going about their day, visiting the farmer's market, for example, and you think that it could happen to you too? You will reach for that perfect looking tomato at exactly the same moment when the handsome stranger next to you goes for it, and bam, your eyes meet. He explained he needs tomato to make his grandmother bruschetta. You offer to let him keep it, and he asks if he can buy you a cappuccino to thank you. You say yes. 11 months, one major fight, and one grand gesture later, he is chasing you down to the terminal at JFK Airport, flying by TSA agent, begging you not to get your flight to Seoul for your new job at an advertising agency. The rom-com promotes the idea that love finds you and not the other way around. That love at the first sight is real, and that all you have to do is live your life and consume vast amount of tomatoes while hanging out at the farmer's market. And one day your future husband or wife will magically appear. While I acknowledge that people do meet in the real life all the time, it at parties, events, even protest. The problem with the idea that it gives people permission to be overly passive in their love lives. Work it out mindset shift. Love takes work, from finding it to keeping it alive. Waiting around the farmer's market just won't cut it. You need to put in effort to find someone. Don't worry, I will show you how in this section too. The magic of a relationship does not have to depend on serendipitous or cinematic meeting. The magic lies in the fact that two strangers come together, create a life. It's not important where or how they meet. Romanticizer in the sapphire for social media. Soulmate believe social media perpetuates relationships are effortless, sex-filled, love-fast, in a great lighting. At least Disney movies and rom-coms are upfront about the fact that they are fictional. Social media is in many ways a more dangerous culprit because it's lost its wisdom suffers to real life. On social media, we see curated images of the perfect relationship, from the romantic beach walk captured at the sunset to the kiss of a masterfully plated homemade dinner. By contrast, we find our own partnership lacking, we compare and despair. Work it out mindset shift. First off, don't believe what you see on Instagram. Images are cropped, blurred, and distorted to send a message. And when it comes to relationship, the picture you see on social media are only one heavily filtered view of that partnership. Just like people don't post pictures of themselves crying or picking their nose, no one puts up photos of blowouts, fight with their girlfriend, or nights spent wondering whether they should stay with her. Social media tells us that everyone else is experiencing a blissful, effortless, passionate, picture perfect relationship would contribute to our sky high expectation for our own partnership. Relationship go through a period of high and lows. If you are working hard at your relationship, that's a good sign, not a bad one, and many hours of marriage are spent on the everyday, rarely posted minutiae of life, changing dirty diapers, doing laundry, and washing dishes. Love happens in this moment, not in spite of them. Love is so much more than a filtered photo captured at sunset. From fairy tale romance to real life love. I explained to Maya how Disney rom-coms on social media had triggered her romanticize her tendencies. If she wanted to find love, she needed to change her expectation. She crossed her arms over her chest. Do you get it? She asked me, her eyebrows furrowed. I feel like you are telling me to give up on my dream. I have this vision of love, and now you are saying it doesn't exist, that I have to settle or give up. Why do other people get to have this epic relationship and I don't? Why am I not good enough? I did get it. Maya, no, that's not it. I want you to be open to a love that is different from the one you thought you would have. I'm not telling you to settle. That would imply that Prince Charming is the prize, and I'm asking you to date the runner-up, but that's not true, because Prince Charming does not exist. Some goes for you. It's time to give up on the Prince Charming and started looking for someone real, and let's call him Larry, because that's the name of the guy went up with. She met him when she was filling in for another dentist who went on vacation. Throughout our work together, she learned to let go of her soulmate belief, which were holding her back from finding her real love. Her new life in boyfriend is nothing like she expected. He is a divorced dad without two little kids. His lodge. He wore sweater, little holes in them. She said, he doesn't open the doors for me. She smiled, surprised that she no longer cared about the superficial traits, but he makes me laugh. He is kind and I feel like myself around him. He makes me feel smart and funny, and I know it sounds cheesy, but I'm honestly much happier than I have ever been. They fight about where to spend Thanksgiving, whether or not they really need to go to her frenemy wedding, and the amount of she spent on his dog's super premium food. But now, Maya believes those fights are a sign that things are right, not wrong. We are passionate, we care about stuff, we talk happily, we are not the same person, so of course we are going to fight. I know all relationships require work, and I'm choosing to invest in this one. Chapter 4. Don't let perfect be the enemy of a great. How to overcome the maximizer tendency. Stephen told me he couldn't remember a time when he would just know instinctively what to do. Extensive research preceded every major or minor decision. Every few minutes, he interviewed at a different company, only to stay in his current job. He pored over the Scotch reviews for 2 hours before buying his dad a bottle of Father's Day. He saw every decision as a problem to dissect, analyze, and fret over. Pro and con list filled with the notes app on his phone. Why was making a merely okay decision when a perfect one was only a few hours of research away? While his behavior was occasionally annoying to his friend and job recruiters, no one but Stephen really suffered from his indecision, and no one except his girlfriend Gabby. Gabby loved Stephen, Stephen loved Gabby, and they had dated for 4 years and lived together for 3 of them. But Stephen often wondered, who else is out there? He knew Gabby's good qualities. She worked as a nurse and fostered cats from the local animal shelter. She was loyal, warm, caring, attractive, kind, and intelligent. And yeah, that was not enough. He wished she were more social. He wanted dinner parties and deep conversation about abstract ideas. Gabby felt ready to get married and start a family true to form. Stephen was not so sure. After a year of waiting for Stephen to make up his mind, Gabby had had enough. She was tired of going to the wedding of friends who had met after she and Stephen started dating. Late one night, she told Stephen through tears, "I cannot wait anymore. I want to get engaged or break up." For the next few months, Stephen had no idea what to do. He wanted to get engaged, but he could never actually get himself to propose. He debated with his friends. He went on long swims to meditate on the questions, but he never felt any closer to knowing what he really wanted. He couldn't stop himself from asking, could I be 5% happier with someone else? Maximizers versus satisficers. Stephen is a Maximizers obsess over making the best possible decision. American economist, political scientist, and cognitive psychologist Herbert A. Simon first described this personality profile in 1956 paper. According to Simon, maximizers are a special type of perfectionist. They are compelled to explore every possible option before they feel like they can choose, and yet this compulsion becomes daunting and ultimately unfeasible when they face a vast number of possibilities. On the other end of the spectrum of satisficers, they have standards, but they are not overly concerned that there might be something better out there. They know their criteria and they hunt until they find a good enough option. It's not that they settle, they are simply fine making a decision once they have gathered some evidence and identified a satisfactory option. Imagine you are on a 2-hour flight, the plane takes off, and you begin scrolling through the movie option. Do you A. select the first movie that appeals to you? Within 5 minutes you are reclining in your seat, eyes glued to Good Will Hunting? Or do you B. spend 25 minutes scrolling through every single new release comedy, drama, documentary, foreign film, as well as all the TV shows before committing to this absolute best option? If you choose A, you are likely a satisfier. If you selected B, you are clearly a maximizer. Maximizer obsess over their decision making. They trust that careful analysis will ultimately make their life better, but that's not true. Not only are satisficers able to make a good decision, they tend to wind up happier about them. That's because, and it's worth repeating, satisficing is not about settling. Satisficer may have very high standard and stop only after the standards have been met. The difference is, once they stop, they don't worry about what else is out there. Maximizers, on the other hand, may find an option that meets their standard, but they feel compelled to explore all possibilities. When it comes to relationship, maximizers like Stephen mistakenly believe that with the right amount of exploration, they can find the perfect person and have absolute confidence in their decision. But this perfect person does not exist, and that's why maximizing leads to anguish, delays in decision making, and missed opportunity. In other words, it's better to be a satisfier. Why are maximizers like this? Anxiety plagues maximizers. It's not just FOMO, fear of missing out. They also suffer from the less catchy FOMDWD, fear of making the wrong decision. They think maximizing will help them make the perfect choice and alleviate their anxiety. But Fear of making the wrong decision creates an immense amount of pressure. Anything less than perfection feels like a failure, and this happened to me when I travel. Even if a trip unfolds almost perfectly, when I make a mistake, like a booking a hotel far from away, the center of the town, I cannot help but feel like I fail. I think if only I would done just a little more research, have to find to prevent this feeling from ruining the trip. Hardly anything separates the maximizer tendency more than choosing a long-term partner. Maximizer fear making a mistake. What if I get divorced and have to raise my children on my own? What if I dread coming home after work because I have nothing to say to my wife? What if I'm so bored that I have an affair? For most of human history, our families, communities, or religious leaders told people what to do, what to wear, what to eat, how to act, what to believe, and yes, whom to marry. And now, in our increasingly individualistic and secular culture, we each define our own identity. Do I meet do I eat meat? Do I work on Shabbat? Do I baptize my child? Do I get married in a synagogue? Do I identify as a man or woman or either? Our life, once scripted by culture, religion, and family, is now a blank page. This grants us the freedom to express ourselves more fully. We are also burdened by the pressure to get it right when we are in the audience for our own story and that story sucks. We have no one to blame but ourselves. No wonder we can get trapped in analysis paralysis. When everything is up in the air and up to us, we aren't to stand on solid ground. I want to feel 100% certain before I walk down the aisle. Stephen told me. But that's exactly the problem. Stevens believes it's possible to pro or con list his way to the correct answer, no different from purchasing the optimal vacuum or planning the optimal day. But this assumes there is a right answer for whom to marry, and there is not. The problem with maximizing. To maximize or obtain better outcomes, we can think about this question in two ways: the objective result and the subjective experience. In other words, the quality of your choice and how you feel about it. Imagine you are the maximizer who is sick of spending money on your morning coffee and you spend hours conducting research into home inspiration makers, and you read Amazon review and study product comparison website like a wire cutter. You select wire cutter number one, big, and the elegant Breville Bambino Plus as soon as it arrives. You notice it doesn't fit as easily into your kitchen as you thought it would. You wonder if you should have gotten a small one just as the review warns. It doesn't capture the brightness of your coffee bean. As you cut brews, you stew and regret not to going with a different option. Meanwhile, your satisfier friend is also on the market for an espresso maker, and she goes to the mall, pops into an espresso store, tells an employee what she's looking for, and walk out with a reasonably priced machine, and she tells you how much she adores the process of making her daily latte, from selecting the fun-colored pots to streaming her milk. In this scenario, you select the best espresso machine available. Several websites compare your machine to hers and yours won. But who feels better about the decision? Satisfiers report feeling happier with their choices, even when they select an objectively worse option. That's because maximizers constantly second-guess themselves. They suffer doubly, first in agony leading up to the decision, and again every time they worry they have made a wrong decision. Psychologist and the paradox of choice author Barry Squart explained that what separates maximizer and satisfier is not the quality of their decision, it's how this decision make them feel. Maximizer make good decisions and end up feeling bad about them, and satisfiers make good decisions and end up feeling good. And what's your goal? To have the world's best coffee machine or to be happy? If it's happiness you are after, it's the subjective experience, not the objective results, that really matters. While the quality of the coffee is important, how we feel about the coffee is paramount. The wisdom of satisficing. Maximizers want to turn over every stone before they make a decision. That presents a particularly tough challenge when it comes to dating. You cannot go out with every eligible single in your city, let alone the whole world. If you hope to get married or commit a long-term relationship, fundamentally you will need to make a decision with the information you have. If you are a maximizer, that idea might make you nervous. What if you are not happy with what you pick? Here is the good news. We have an incredible tool working on our behalf to make us happy. Our brain. Once we commit to something, our brain helps us rationalize why it was the right choice. Rationalization is our ability to convince ourselves we did the right thing. Imagine you buy an expensive winter coat that you can return within 30 days. You take it home, weigh its pros and cons. Even if you keep the coat, you cannot shake at that list of cons in your head. But when you buy a coat on a final sale, you immediately commit to liking it. You cannot return it, so why worry about its drawback? That's the power of rationalization. Embrace it. This works for dating too. When you commit to someone, your brain will do its best to convince you it was a good decision, satisfies her, inherently understand this idea, and benefit from it. And now perhaps you're thinking, I'm not looking to make a merely good decision. I refuse to settle. But this is a common misunderstanding about satisficing. Remember, satisficer can have a very high standard. They may look around for a while until they find an option that meets their expectation. The difference is once they find something that meets their standard, they are happy with it. They don't wonder what else is out there, and that's why I want you to work toward becoming a satisficer. The best choice of all is choosing to be happy. The secretary problem. You can learn to date like a satisficer by studying the decision-making riddle known as the secretary problem. Imagine you are hiring a secretary, and let's be sure that to make him a male secretary, because I know you were envisioning a woman. And yeah, fact about patriarchy. There are 100 possible candidates whom you must interview one by one, and after each interview you decide whether to hire the person or keep looking, and if you reject a person, he is gone. You cannot change your mind later and hire him. How should you maximize your chance of picking the best candidate? You don't want to decide too early in the process because you might miss out on a strong candidate at the end of the line, but you don't want to make it too far without choosing, because what if the final options are not very good? It turns out there is a mathematically correct answer to this problem. You should interview 37% of the candidate and then pause. Identify the best person from the first group, and you have the meaningful benchmark, and after evaluating the first 37%, you should be prepared to hire the first candidate who is better than the standout from the first group. This logic applies to dating too. In the secretary problem, you know there are 100 possible candidates. In dating, you have no idea how many possible matches are out there. Even if you did, you couldn't meet all of them. Life, logistics, and geography all get in the way. Instead of thinking about the total number of people you might date, consider how long you are likely to actively look for a partner. Apply the rule of 37% to the time period in the book of Algorithm to Life by Author Brian Christian and Tom Griffin. Discuss a single man who wants to get married, assuming that his search would run from ages 18 to 14. The 37 rule gave age 26.1 as the point at which to switch from looking to living. And that means that by the age of 26, he should set a meaningful benchmark from this first 8.1 years of dating, and that is the single best person he has dated thus far. He should then marry the next person he meets, whom he likes more than that benchmark. I explained the secretary problem to Doug, a software engineer who had recently sold his business to a major tech company. Doug had been in several 3 to 6 month relationships. He always found something lacking with the women he dated. This one laughed at his joke, but said it was not funny. That one worked too hard, and the next one didn't work hard enough. When I began to describe the idea of the benchmark, he nodded and interrupted me. I get it, he said. I'm 31 and I've probably already dated someone who would make a great wife. It clicked. I follow up with a homework assignment. Put together a spreadsheet of all the women who have gone out with in the last year and make a column with their name, how you met them, how you felt when you were with them, and what values you share. You can include the other details too, but I don't want a laundry list of their flaws or a ranking of their home's hotness. I will do it. During our next session, talk. Pull up his laptop and show me his work. Really, he said as the page loaded. Is the one. The one? You mean like the one? The one? I asked. I know it. I temporarily suspended my distance for that term. Not the one I'm going to go marry, but the benchmark. She was smart, funny, fun enough to be with, ambitious, and pretty. Ah, why did I break up with her? Anyway, it's too late for that. Briley is my benchmark. I'm going to commit to the next girl who I like as much as more than Briley. And now it's your turn to determine your dating window. Count the number of years from when you started dating to when you would like to enter a long-term relationship, and know what's 37% of that number. Add that to the age when you started dating, and that's your 37% mark. And if you are in your 30s, you have probably already passed it. Complete this assignment I gave Doug to determine your benchmark partner. Don't worry, I'm telling you to marry the next person you go out with, nor am I implying that it's too late if you are past the 37% mark. I'm really suggesting that you likely already have enough data to generate a reasonable, well-informed benchmark. You don't need more research. Next time you meet someone whom you like as much or more than the benchmark, commit to them. Gender inequality and relationship timelines. I'm a feminist. I believe men and women are and should be equal. However, that does not mean we are the same. We are separated by real biological differences in our reproductive system. And I recognize these categories don't contain everyone, in that trans and genderqueer folks face unique challenges while dating. Women's fertility declines in our 30s. Men can have a kid until their late 60s and beyond. To my beloved female readers, if you want to have a kid and you hope to carry them yourself, it's important to incorporate that goal when you consider your dating window. While you don't need a partner to have a kid, this might affect the age by which you would like to find someone. Although it's expensive, you may want to consider egg freezing. While it's certainly not a guarantee that you can have kids later, but it may buy you some time. A first embryos fertilized with my partner's sperm. The money turned 31 because we were not ready to have a kid and wanted to put the decision on ice. Pun intended. As unfair as it is, you will likely hit that 37% mark before men your own age, and I really wish it were not this way, but I would rather recognize the situation and plan for it, rather than being caught off guard later in life and watching you would make different choices. This brings me back to Stephen, who was still asking himself, could I be 5% happier with someone else? A few months after Gabby gave Stephen her ultimatum, she confronted him once more. He admitted he would make no steps toward buying a ring. She told him it was over, and her moving boxes, breakup sex, new profile picture on social media. Stephen sat alone in his half-empty apartment. No couch, no TV, no dresser, just a bed, some chairs, and his painstakingly researched ultra-light camping gear. At that point, I didn't expect to hear from Stephen again. Based on my experience with other Stephen, I figured he would meet new women, people he would get excited about, and then leave when he didn't feel 100% certain about them. Then about a year later, he called me. I met someone, he told me, as someone I want to spend the rest of my life with. I was surprised but thrilled. Tell me more. The other weekend, we went away together. We rode bikes, we cooked, we had a say, and I just feel like this was the person I was going to marry. I was so happy to hear that he was happy, but I had to ask, what about the Stephen voices in your head, wondering, could I be 5% happier? He laughed. Look, it hasn't been easy, but I worked on that. I'm grateful for what I have with her. I'm not wondering what I could have with someone else, and all I know is that I could build a life with this person, an amazing life. Stephen had learned to satisfy, to feel uncomfortable with uncertainty, to make a decision based on a less than exhaustive search. Through this work, he would change the punctuation of his life from the anxious question mark of the maximizer to the confident period of satisficer. As far as I thought, Stephen's story would serve as a warning. Don't let perfect be the enemy of a great, but now I can share it as a tale of victory. Maximizers, give yourself the gift of happiness, give yourself the gift of satisfying. Chapter 5, Don't Wait, Date. How to overcome the hesitator tendencies. I met my new client Sia on a hidden patio in downtown San Francisco, several blocks from his office. He was 35 and over 60 feet tall. I know very little about Sia going into the meeting. He seemed confident and charming, sitting at our table while he stood in line to order us coffees. I tried to guess why he would contacted me for help. Was he having trouble deciding whom to date? Did he need help ending a bad relationship? Was he trying to get back out there after a tough breakup? He walked back over and handed me my latte. Well, I guess I will start at the beginning. He said, I have never had a girlfriend. Okay, maybe one in high school, but not since then. I was surprised to hear how little dating experience he had. Why do you think that is? I've never felt ready. First, I wanted to make sure I had my job in order. Then I found a great job, but I wanted to make sure I had enough money to save to support a wife. I got close, but then I started therapy and wanted to work on myself first. I recently switched jobs and now I feel like I won't be ready to date until work is more settled again. He explained that he ultimately wanted a wife and family, but he didn't think he was ready for that yet. He would reach out to me only because his parents had pressured him to get some help. You might be nodding along, thinking, that makes sense. Good for him, he will date when he's ready. Except when I pushed him for more details, I discovered that Sia was ready. He had worked as a lawyer at a big firm for 10 years and was financially stable. He was self-aware and mature. He had hobbies, played guitar poorly, he said. He had a friends. He enjoyed a close relationship with his family. I have encountered a lot of clients like Asia. They seem like they would be a great catch, but they are not actively dating. I call this bunch of the hesitators. They come to me because they feel like they should be dating, but they have having trouble taking action. When I ask why they haven't been going on dates, I will be ready when excuses start tumbling out. I will be ready when I lose 10 pounds. I will be ready when I get promoted. I'll be ready once I finish grad school. I'll be ready when I have a new pictures for my dating profile. I'll be ready when things calm down at work. We all want to improve along some dimension, but this aspiration can turn into excuses. And I get it, dating is scary, fear paralyzes, the hesitation, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, and no wonder they avoid dating. You cannot fail at something you never attempt, right? But people who wait until they are 100% ready underestimate what they are missing out on. Why it's a mistake to wait. You will never be 100% ready for anything, including and perhaps especially dating. The urge to wait until you feel fully self actualized is understandable. What if you meet your ideal mate clearly and they reject you? For hesitators, there is a story in your head that one day you will wake up and feel ready, and that story is fiction. That's not how life works. Everyone feels awkward sometimes, and most people fed nervous and high pressure situation, and many of us have a part of ourselves we don't want to reveal to others. And yet these very same people still go out on dates and kiss people, fall in love and break up and fall in love again and get married. Eventually you just have to get out there and start dating perfect as you are. Everyone else is imperfect too, even the person you will end up with. And by the way, let's say you do reach this so-called state of perfection you have envisioned for yourself. By earning that promotion or saving 10 pounds and then enter into a relationship, will you worry that their love is conditional? That they will leave you if you lose your job, tailspin, develop revenues, cheddar chase addiction, and gain 25 pounds? When you wait to date, you are missing out on more than you think. Economists often refer to the opportunity cost of decision and the price you pay when you choose one option over another. If you are facing the mutually exclusive choices option A and option B, the opportunity cost is what you give up from option A if you choose option B. And vice versa. A quick example helps illustrate the concept. Imagine you are deciding between option A, attending grad school, or option B, continuing to work in your current job. The tuition plus living expenses for 2 years add up to $200,000. If I ask you how much grad school costs, what would you say? $200,000, right? Wrong, you have neglected to include the opportunity cost. If you go to grad school, you cannot keep working full time, so the total cost of grad school includes foregoing your current salary, And therefore, the real cost of grad school is $200,000 in tuition and expenses plus the money you would have made over 2 years if you would work instead of going to school. And that's 200,000 plus 2 times your current annual salary. Or let's say you are deciding between going to your friend Samantha's birthday party at the bar and your co-worker David's housewarming party. When you consider the cost of going to Samantha's party, it's not just about the time it will take to get there, the money you might spend at the bar, how bad your hangover might feel the next day. It's also the opportunity cost of not being able to get to know David and your coworkers better at his party. When it comes to dating, hesitators wait until they have more confidence, more money, more whatever, but they are neglecting the opportunity cost of not starting. Missing out on the chance to learn. The first opportunity cost is losing the chance to learn. You cannot figure out what you like and what you don't if you don't date different people. So much of dating is iterative and making incremental changes as you learn over time, especially because you have probably wrong about what you like or value in a partner. You think you want something, you try it, turns out you don't want it, so you learn and move on. Maybe you fall for someone mysterious, the aloof bohemian Cirque du Soleil performer who once hitchhiked across Madagascar and chose their own pants. After a few months of dating it tough, you realize that while the mystic is attractive at first, you want a partner who is warm and affectionate. If you are not going to date on dates, you are not going to closer to knowing the kind of person you want to be with long term. Take my client Jing, for example, at 31, she is dating for the first time. Her family moved a lot with her she was growing up, so she never established a group of lifelong friends, much less a girlfriend. In college, she was studious and shy. She met new friends, but the dating and meeting rituals of college seemed impossibly foreign to her. I didn't know how to flirt, she confessed. I just never learned. After college, she joined an advertising agency as an intern. She worked her way up to lead up copywriter. She transformed herself into someone she liked, sophisticated, funny, passionate, but she still didn't date. She put off trying because she already felt so behind. And now she realized that her lack of experience complicated her search for a good match. I missed out on experimentation. I don't know what my likes and dislikes, and know what it feels like a lot harder to find a partner without that information. Getting in your dating reps. Hesitators who delay getting out there also miss the opportunity to improve their dating skills. I'm constantly surprised by how many of my clients think they should naturally know how to date. Dating is hard and it takes time to matter, just like anything else. I tell my client they need to get into the reps. A rep is a single movement of repetition of an exercise. At the gym, you get stronger by doing multiple reps. In dating, you get stronger by going on more dates. And when you wait to date and sit at home thinking about how you are not ready yet, someone like you is going to on a first date and they are practicing their storytelling abilities, their listening skill, their French kissing technique, they are getting in their reps. Jane still feels like a beginner, she told me. I'm making rookie mistakes when I'm supposed to be ready for the game of my life. The fact is, everyone has to make those rookie mistakes at first. You are going to make them no matter when you start dating, so you might as well start making them now. And dating is a bit like a stand-up comedy. They are both an audience-based art. Comics often say that if they are not at home coming up with jokes, that's just writing. It's not until they are in the front of the crowd that they are truly performing stand-up. Stand-up comics know that no one brings the house down the first time they step up to the mic. They need to learn by doing, and that's one of the reasons above and comic comedians work so hard to get stage time before her breakout Netflix comedy special. Baby Cobra Ali Wrong went to multiple open mic every night, practicing her set over and over it all in a small clubs. It's the same with the dating. You need to practice asking interesting questions, expressing yourself in a compelling way, and going in for a first kiss or hug maybe, and those are your reps. And you cannot work on any of these skills if you're sitting around by yourself preparing. The only way to get better at it is to actually date. Overcome your hesitation and start dating. Behavioral science warns us of the dreaded intention-action gap. When we intend to do something but don't take those steps to make it happen. Your intention is to start dating, but you may get stuck in the gap between wanting to date and doing it. To help you get started, here are some techniques from the behavioral science toolkit. They work for Jim, who after a number of bumbling first dates and a handful of slightly less awkward second, third and fourth ones, entered into a relationship with her first boyfriends. Step 1. Make a deadline. Deadlines are one of the most efficient ways to motivate someone to take action. Short deadlines work especially well. Imagine you get an email from your bank telling you to change your password. They don't provide a deadline. How likely are you to do it? You might intend to change it, but since it seems like you can do it anytime, you will likely forget about it before taking action. You will fall into the intention action gap, and imagine you are bank email you and says change your password by the end of the day. In this case, you have a short, concrete deadline. To avoid missing it, you are likely to either change your password immediately or set aside a specific time later in the day to do it, and either way, with a short deadline, you are far more likely to take action. Researchers have studied the effect of the well-timed deadline, short while still doable. Behavioral scientist Susan Shu and as Ayelet Kenizi look at how often people redeem gift certificates to the bakery. When the certificate was good for 2 months, fewer than 10% of people redeem it for a pastry. But when the certificate was good for only 3 weeks, suddenly more than 30% of people redeemed the coupon. In the first scenario, people had often taken the action because they figured they could do it later. With a shorter deadline, people were more aware that they could miss the window, so they took more immediate action. Hesitators, it's time to set a deadline for them. When you are going to start dating, and I suggest 3 weeks from now, that's enough time to do what you need to do first and the pre-dating work I have listed below, but not so long that you lose momentum. Number 2 is prep. And once you have set a deadline, start doing the pre-dating work. Download the app, assemble a few solid date outfit, consider going to an improved class to learn how to listen carefully and play well with others. Pay attention the next time you are having a dinner with a friend and how much you are focusing inward. How am I coming across versus really listening and being curious. What is this person trying to communicate? And if you have been out of the dating game for a while, take some flattering photos. I had a client who was terrified of online dating. She would always say, I just don't have a good photos for my profile. I convinced her to invest in beautiful new headshots. When she got the pictures back, she finally felt ready to start. She downloaded the apps, received positive reinforcement before her peak, and went on a date on the next week. You certainly don't need to splurge on professional photography, some flattering lighting, and a friend with a decent phone will do. As a part of your preparation, you may want to start seeing a therapist or coach. What's been holding you back? What are your unspoken fears? What in your past is preventing you from moving forward? But going to therapy is not an excuse to not start dating. It's not a quick fix. Don't expect it to turn you into some more perfect version of yourself in a few weeks, and after which you will be totally ready to date. Commit to doing your therapy work in parallel with dating. Number 3, tell others. If you publicly announce your goals to others, you are more likely to stay focused on them. A team of research led by social physiologist Kevin McCall demonstrated this in a infectionating experiment. They took students who had a particular hard test coming up and divided them into different groups. They asked one set of students to share their target test score with their group, and they instructed the different group of students to keep their goal private. They found those who had shared with others felt more committed to the goal and spent more time studying for the test, and were 20% more likely to reach their goal and earn their target score. Tell 2 or 3 of your closest friends or family members that you're going to start dating and share your deadline with them. You will feel more motivated to act once you have made this public pronouncement, because now your reputation is on the line. Number 4, commit to your new identity. We all have different identities: daughter, friend, Beyonce fan, runner, and so on. We act differently depending on which of those identities we lean into at any given moment. A group of Stanford and Harvard researchers found that we can actually see people's behavior simply by reinforcing one of those identities. At a survey registered voters the week of an election, they asked one group, "How important is it to you to vote?" For the other demographically identical group, they pressed the question slightly differently. How important is it to you to be a voter in the upcoming election? They later analyzed voting record to see who had actually shown up at the polls, and they found the people who had been asked about being a voter were 11% more likely to have voted than those who were simply asked about the act of voting. While people in both groups might have intended to vote, the people who were not to think of themselves as voters were more likely to follow through on their plan. They considered themselves voters, not just people who would vote, and once that identity was reinforced, they were more likely to show up and vote. You can use this lever to motivate yourself to start dating. Reinforce your own identity as a dater, not just someone who goes on dates. Stand in front of the mirror and say out loud, "I'm looking for love. I'm a dater." Does this seem ridiculous, especially where you have been on a date? Of course, but you should do it anyway. Number 5, start small. You're not the Beatles. You don't have to go on 8 dates a week. Get it? Like the song 8 dates a week. Forgive me, my dad jokes. Psychologists Edwin Locke and Gary Latham found that setting specific goals not only makes you more likely to achieve your goals, it also leads to greater motivation, confidence, and self-efficacy. Step 6. Be compassionate with yourself. Look, I know this is hard. You are putting yourself out there, perhaps for the first time. It's scary, you might get hurt or hurt someone else. When a date does not turn out how you hope it would, talk to yourself the way you would speak to your best friend. If that friend called you and said, "What's the point? This will never work. I'm just not good enough." How would you respond? You wouldn't pile on the negativity, right? You would try to give a pep talk. Come on, it's just one date. Good for you for getting out there. I bet you learned something even if the dates suck. Learn to be your own cheerleader. Learn to use the compassionate tone with yourself. And this was the key for C, our hesitator, from the beginning of the chapter through our work together and his weekly session with the therapist. He learned to accept himself for who he is now instead of focusing on the person he hopes to be in the future. He's currently single and dating. And now it's your turn. Start today. If not now, when? Exercise complete the getting ready checklist. I will start dating in earnest of the following dates. I have downloaded at least one dating app. I have at least 5 photos I could use for my profile. I have 2 outfits I could wear on a date. I have told at least 2 friends that I'm starting to date. I have stood in front of the mirror and said I'm looking for love. I'm a dater. I'm practicing talking to myself compassionately, and the way I would speak to a small child or best friend. If I hit a roadblock and lose momentum, I commit to trying again instead of indulging my hesitator way. Stop talking to your ex. And one last thing, I have found that many of my hesitator clients struggle to commit to dating in earnest because they are hung up on an ex. But this advice holds true for all daters. Stop talking to your ex. We can think of keeping in touch with an ex, like in a romantic or potentially romantic way, as keeping a door open. You want the option to change your mind about the relationship. That instinct, like so many others explored in this book, is wrong. Keeping our ex around makes it harder, not easier, to move on. Research bears this out. As a part of an experiment, Harvard physiologist Daniel Gilbert and Jan Abert created several 2-day photography workshops for students, and students shot photos around campus and developed their film with the help of an instructor. At the end of the workshop, the instructor told the students they could choose one of their developed photos for a special art exhibition in London. Yeah, and while they instinctively prefer a reversible decision to irreversible ones, this flexibility often makes us less happy in the long run. We would rather be able to change our minds, return to our new phone, switch our flight to a different day, reply maybe to an event. But it turns out, just like the student who could switch their picture, we are less committed to choices we think we can reverse, and committed is crucial for happiness. As we discussed earlier, once you commit to something, your brain starts to magically process of rationalization. convincing you that you made a good choice. You retroactively ascribe more positive trait to things you chose and more negative trait to things you didn't. The student who had to choose a final photo committed to their pictures right away, immediately launching a rationalization process, and those who had the chance to change their selection spent the week going back and forth, weighing the different options, and this led to a feeling of doubt, so that even when they stuck with their original photo, they felt less sure about it. When your brain accepts something and you move on, you are not left agonizing over the decision. In other words, we want reversible decisions, but irrevocable ones make us happier in the long term. Keeping your ex around as a potential love interest turns your breakup into a changeable decision. Allow yourself to move on by making it an unchangeable one. So, did you slide into your ex DMs last night? If you're still carrying a torch for them and secretly wondering if you will get back together, try this 7 simple step to block like it. It's hard. Take a deep breath, grab your phone, delete their number, block them on everything, social media, email, your bed, and if you're the mom, sister, follow you, block them too. And actually delete their number at this time. I know you have it saved elsewhere, I will wait. Burn your phone, just kidding, but you honestly might want to limit your screen time during this initial separation phase. Oh, and don't forget the payment app Venmo, seeing your ex send Venmo money to some new fling for, oh god, is that an eggplant emoji? They never send me an eggplant emoji. It's doing nothing for your emotional wellness. Maybe it seems like too much. How harmful could it be to check their Instagram or Facebook once in a while? And here is even more evidence from psychologists Tara Marshall and Ashley Mason. In one research paper, Marshall wrote that exposure to an ex-partner through Facebook may obstruct the process of healing. Mason found that talking to an ex worsen your physiological health, and for goodness sake, don't sleep with your ex. Yeah. Mason also discovered that having sex with ex makes it harder to move on. In other words, creeping on or sleeping with an ex only slows down the process of getting over them. So do yourself a favor and shut that door. Stop talking to your ex and make your changeable decision unchangeable. Key takeaways: 1. Hesitators delay dating because they don't feel 100% ready yet and want to put their best foot forward, but no one ever feels 100% ready for anything. At a certain point, you just have to start. Number 2, perfection is a lie. Everyone else is imperfect too, even the person you will eventually end up with. And number 3, by waiting to date, hesitators miss out on a chance to develop their dating skills and figure out what type of person they want to be with. Number 4, here is how you can then overcome your hesitation. Set deadlines for oneself to work for your new dating life. Tell others about your plan. Commit to your new identity as a dater. Start with small goals. Be compassionate with yourself. Stop talking to your ex. Yeah. In chapter 6, learn your attachment style. How to manage your attachment style. We'll read this under part 2 audiobook.